going on, people? Myke C-Town here, Dead in Hip Hop, here with a solo album review. And today I'm going to talk about the new album by Hail Mary Mallon entitled Bestiary. Hail Mary Mallon is made up of MCs Aesop Rock and Rob Sonic, as well as DJ Big Wiz. Aesop Rock and Rob Sonic are two MCs known for their incredible wordplay and super unique style. I'll say this was another one of those perfect matchups. Rob Sonic and Aesop Rock both have an amazing way with words. They are both MCs whose lyrics are not easily deciphered. You know, unless you're one of them or you're within their tight-knit crew, you can't sit back and say you fully understand all their lyrics. You just can't. Or you're a liar. But this fact adds to the enjoyment of listening to them. You know, it's fun for me to try to figure out what in the hell these guys are talking about. Some lines they put together are just impossible to figure out without some clues from them. Then there are some lines that with a little thought you can easily get. Like when Rob Sonic says, "A Bonaparte overcompensating when you're not saying nothing like an Amish station. Tell God I said hi and to drop some amens for the nicest MCs at the top is tasting." There's nothing super crazy or hard to figure out there. It's just some really, really, really nice wordplay. But then in the same song, you have Aesop Rock say, "Use names, chew through chains, reptiles, crockpots, new Kool-Aids, uncool but sooner haul his mission to the furnace than casually evolve into the visage of a serpent." At the end of the day, for me, I just love listening to the way these guys put words and lines together. You know, not everything from a poet has to be so direct or straight to the point. Sometimes it's cool to take what you want from it, or to argue with your friends about what certain lines mean. What you'll notice right off the bat listening to this album is the incredible chemistry these guys have together. You know, it seems like they've gotten even closer as far as like how they craft a track together. You know, the way they bounce lines off each other, which they've always done, it just seems to be a bit tighter on this project. Some of my favorite songs in this album, Used Cars, which both of those lines I mentioned earlier are from. You know, I love the beat, I love the bass sound, and I love the "oh shit" sample. Oh shit! Dollywood was another favorite. Great beat. I love the bass sound on this one as well. And the horn sample gave it a really cool feel. And I really dug the hook. Happy to be on the food chain at all. Which I took to maybe be looking at the rap game as the jungle. So they're happy to be a part of that world at all. Or in the realm of good rap artists. You know, they're happy to even be in that conversation at all. The Soup was another favorite. Again, a super dope beat done by Aesop Rock. I love the way these guys rhyme over this beat too. It's really dope. And the first few lines of this song really jumped out at me. Aesop Rock says, "I throw dice and darts, you dot your eyes with hearts. I held a fork and knife under the guise of art into the fattened pig English, tapped and transmitted." This is one of those situations I was talking about earlier where it's really fun to try to decipher what the hell he's talking about. So here's what I get from him. The dice and darts line is kind of self-explanatory. You know, he's doing some serious playa type shit while you're doing some frilly bullshit. But the next line, "I hold a fork and knife under the guise of art." Fork and knife, kind of a metaphor for eating or making a living under the guise of art or from his art. Chew the fat is a term for conversing or chatting. Pig English as opposed to Pig Latin, which for those who don't know, Pig Latin is like this weird language game that people play where you alter certain words in a really weird way as to confuse people who don't really know how the game works. The fun part for the listener is maybe trying to figure out what you mean. "Suck my dick stay, you punk ass gay biatchne." Tapped and transmitted, clearly a reference to Morse code. So what I get from these lines is how he's making a living off being an artist and speaking to us in a language that he created in a way that we may not understand without actually studying it. I think the underlying idea here also is for people that assume that his words and phrases really don't mean anything because they don't get it. Like Pig Latin, the words and the phrases actually do mean something to the speaker, It's just up to the audience to really think about it and figure out what those meanings are. And I think that sentiment can easily go for Rob Sonic as well as Aesop Rock. You can't just look at their lyrics and say, well, you know what, since I don't understand them, they must not have any meaning. No, there's meaning there. It's just up to you to figure it out. And I like that it had a Riff Raff shout out. You know, hey, if Rob Sonic and Aesop Rock can co-sign Rear Rat on a song, then y'all can't give me shit for saying Rear Rat is the man. Oktoberfest was also one of my favorite songs on this album. I love that super dark and dirty ass beat, and the way each of them rode the beat was just dope. And speaking of the beats on this one, in my opinion, are much better. On Are You Gonna Eat That, the beats were cool, but they lacked soul to me. No real feeling. They didn't really complement the MCs all that well. So all you really paid attention to were the MCs. So if you're not really a fan of like super esoteric wordsmithing, then that album may not hold your attention. This, on the other hand, had beats that really had some substance and some meat to them. You know, there were some differentiating sounds used here, but I still felt more consistency here than I did on their previous album. At times, I will say, after repeated listens, that the production can start to feel a little bit samey, but it's in a weird way. You know, it's more with the air and the tone of the beats more than anything, because the beats don't necessarily sound the same, but they have the same feeling. Does that make sense? Probably not. But fuck it's gay. And let's talk about Big Wiz for a minute, man. Big Wiz kills it on the turntables. The scratching is so on fucking point on this project. Like, when you first listen to it, some of the shit he does is so smooth, and the transitions he makes are so smooth that you may not even notice them. But once you pick up on what he's doing, how he's scratching, how he's mixing, it's really, really, really fresh. Despite the goofy fundraiser concert backdrop story, the songs on this album had a more of a serious feel to them. You didn't have anything like Grubstake or Breakdance Beach like you had on Are You Gonna Eat That? And even though I loved those songs and they did their job of breaking up what could be looked at as monotony, they kind of also made Are You Gonna Eat That feel a little bit unfocused. And, you know, yeah, it's only 2 songs, but that album was actually really short, so it was easy for those 2 songs to stick out. The closest thing you have to a really goofy song is Whales, and that's only if you base your initial opinion on the beat, which is a bit lighter than the rest, you know, similar to Breakdance Beach, or if you base your opinion off the hook, not really paying attention to the fact that the song is total satire. Money on your motherfucking heart. I could give it to my dog, he makes money when he barks. Or put it in my fridge or in one of the parks that I bought so my robots can learn how to LARP. Rob Sonic is fucking hilarious, man. Whales is a term for gamblers who win and sometimes lose a shit ton of money. So when you think about that in reference to the song, it's fucking genius. And whales is totally not a common term, at least not used in this context. So I just found it interesting that they picked that word for this song. Overall, I thought this album was fantastic. You know, I think it was a great step up from Are You Gonna Eat That? And not only because of the vastly improved production or the increasingly esoteric and weird wordplay, but because I feel like they made a totally different album. I liken this to Run the Jewels 2 in that they're showing they're not one-trick ponies. You know, they made one album and they kicked your ass. Then they came back and they made another album and kicked your ass again, but this time in a different way. They tried out some new ideas, which I think for the most part totally worked. They created a more serious atmosphere with this album while still remaining playful and silly with their words at times. So yeah, this is easily one of my favorite albums this year. I feel like they really put some time and some effort into this one. They made a solid follow-up to their debut album, and these guys are really pushing the envelope when it comes to lyricism, and they're really stretching the imagination as far as what you can talk about and how you can talk about it. So give this a shot. I guess if you feel like it, let me know what you think about it. And that's it. Thank you for living. Thank you for loving. Thank you for being you. And I will see you beautiful people next time. Alright? Peace, bitches.